There's a big new law in New York City called COPA, and it's changing the game for how residential buildings are sold. So we're going to break down exactly what it is, what it isn't, and most importantly, what it all means for you.
So, if you're an owner or a broker, you're definitely going to want to listen up. There is so much chatter and, honestly, a lot of anxiety around this law. We're here to just cut right through all that noise and give you the straight facts. Okay, let's get into it.
All right, first things first. What in the world is the Community Opportunity to Purchase Act, or COPA, anyway? Let's get a really clear definition on the table. Okay, so in plain English, COPA is basically a procedural law. Think about it. In New York City's crazy competitive market, affordable housing nonprofits can barely get a word in edgewise before a building is snatched up. What COPA does is create a formal heads-up, a process that lets them know a building's for sale and gives them a dedicated window for a first opportunity to make an offer. The whole point is to give them a fighting chance to preserve affordable housing in the city.
Now, this is really important because this slide breaks it all down into 3 core ideas that tackle the biggest fears right away. 1, it's just an opportunity for nonprofits to make an offer, not a command for owners to accept it. 2, the timeline actually runs at the same time as your normal marketing. And 3, and this one is absolutely crucial, it is not a right of first refusal. We're going to come back to that one for sure.
So let's just tackle the biggest myth head on. Is this law forcing your hand? Do you, the owner, lose control over who you ultimately get to sell your property to? You've probably heard this, right? Maybe you've even thought it yourself. It's the number one concern out there, that the government is suddenly telling you who you have to sell your building to. But is there any truth to that? Nope, absolutely not. The fact is, owners keep total and complete discretion. You can get an offer from a nonprofit, look at it, and say no thanks for any reason you want, and there's zero penalty. The power to say yes or no stays right where it belongs, with the owner. All right, so you're not forced to sell. That's a relief. But the next logical question is all about timing, right? Does this new process just create a massive delay that kills all the momentum for a deal? Yeah, the big worry for brokers and sellers is that you'll have this dead zone, a period where you can't market the property, you can't show it, you can't talk to other buyers, all while you're just sitting around waiting for a nonprofit to maybe, possibly make an offer. But check out the timeline, because this fear is just not based in reality. The key word here is concurrently. On day 0, the moment the owner gives that official notice of sale to the city, the clock starts for everybody. You can start marketing your property that very same day. From there, nonprofits get 60 days to say, hey, we're interested, and then a total of 120 days from the start to actually put a formal offer on the table. And this just drives the point home. The COPA window is not some pencils down waiting period. It's an active sales period. You can and you absolutely should be doing all the normal things: listing the property, showing it to anyone and everyone, talking to buyers, and collecting offers from the entire market. It's business as usual. Okay, this brings us to our third and final myth, and it's all about deal security. It's that nightmare scenario for any seller. You found your buyer, you agreed on a price, you're ready to pop the champagne, and then someone else just swoops in and blows it all up. This fear is all about a legal concept called a right of first refusal. You might hear it called a ROFR. It's basically where a specific group gets to jump in at the very end of the line and match whatever offer you have. So the question is, does COPA create this kind of last-minute veto power for nonprofits? And the answer, let me be very clear, is no. A simple, straightforward no. COPA explicitly does not include a right of first refusal. Remember, it's called a first opportunity to purchase. That opportunity happens at the beginning of the process, not at the end. Once you are under contract with another buyer, that's it. A nonprofit can't come in and hijack your deal. It's locked in. So, we've busted the myths. Now, let's get down to brass tacks. What's the practical, day-to-day impact? What does following this law actually look like for you? Well, the good news is that the process itself is pretty simple. It all kicks off when the owner files that official notice of sale with the city's Department of Housing, Preservation, and Development. It's a straightforward step, but, and this is a big but, deciding to just skip it can be a very, very expensive mistake. And we're not talking about a small slap on the wrist. We're talking about a $30,000 civil penalty. That's for failing to give the proper notice or for jumping the gun and accepting another offer inside that 120-day window. It's a pretty powerful reason to get this right, which makes understanding the bottom line here absolutely critical.
So let's just bring it all home. What's the real takeaway here? Well, your marketing and sales can keep going without interruption. You, the owner, keep full control to accept or reject any offer that comes your way. The timelines are set in stone so you can plan around them. And your final closing process isn't going to be ambushed at the last minute. At the end of the day, COPAA is just a manageable procedural step. It's not some kind of market-breaking earthquake.
Ultimately, this law was designed to give nonprofits a real fighting chance to compete and keep housing affordable. For owners, the process is clear, and the impact is pretty manageable. But the big question, the one that really hangs in the air, is this. By simply giving nonprofits a seat at the table, will COPA actually be enough to make a real difference in one of the toughest housing markets on the planet?